Now, the confirmation of Dr. Opoku Prempeh as the new Patriotic Party's vice presidential candidate by the party's National Council earlier today marks a pivotal moment for the NPP's 2024 campaign. Tonight, on UPFront, we will delve into the implications of this choice, examining Dr. Opoku Prempeh's qualifications, public perception, strategic fit, and potential impact on the party's electoral prospects. Joining me for this all-important conversation is that distinguished Professor Seidu Mahama Alidu. He is the head of the Political Science Department at the University of Ghana. Also joining this conversation tonight is an aide to former President John Dramani Mahama and the NDC's candidate, Felix Kwakye Ofosu. But I'll start in studio with a man who is now the national organizer, who sat in the meeting that decided and endorsed the gentleman, Dr. Opoku Prempeh, in the very person of the NPP's national organizer, Henry Nana Boakye, after this break. It's an assessment of the candidature, or the lack thereof of a better word that describes the vice presidential candidature of Dr. Opoku Prempeh, who was endorsed today by the National Council of the governing New Patriotic Party. I am privileged to have joining me in studio the national organizer of the NPP, Henry Nana Boakye, joining me here on this important conversation. You, right from the beginning, had been known to be an ardent supporter of Opoku Prempeh. So it's not surprising that you say he was the best fit for it. But for the National Council, what considerations went into the decision to endorse? And you used the word unanimous, the very suggestion or the choice of Dr. Bawumia here.
Oh, yes. First of all, good evening to you. Let me say that from our party's perspective, the Constitution backs the presidential candidate, in this case, His Excellency, the Vice President, to nominate his running mate, and then he will put before National Council his choice. That's exactly what happened today. And then before, don't forget that last year when he was elected in November, per our Constitution again, if you are not the president, if you are in opposition, you present the running mate 12 months before the election. If we are in power and still there is a different presidential candidate, and then we are presenting a different running mate, you still have 12 months to the election. That is the more reason why you recall last year, December, the vice president came before National Council, requested for some period to do further, deeper, detailed consultation. The vice president appeared before us. We were having discussion, national officers, and then he put before us that his intention to put before National Council his nominee, the Minister for Energy, Deputy Minister for, MP for Minsha South, Honorable Dr. Opoku Prempeh. So clearly, and I keep saying that the most experienced running mate in this country is Dr. Bawumia, because he's been running mate 2008, yes, 2012, 2016, and 2020. So he knows what he wants. He knows what he was looking for. There were a lot of people who were qualified and their names came up. So he, because of his experience, he knew what exactly he wanted. And after some few months, he chose Dr. Prempeh. And for us, today, as I said, quite a number of people spoke. And it was unanimous. People just threw their weight behind the choice. And I'm happy that today at National Council, it was a very colorful moment, very exciting moment. Now our ticket is perfect. So next week, Tuesday, in Kumasi, we will again present him before Otumfuo Setutu, the second. Afterwards, we are going to outdoor our ticket. That is the Bawumia Napo ticket at the Jubilee Park. So for us, we are set. We are battle ready for these elections.
Was the Member of Parliament for Asante Achim North in the person of Andy Kwame Apiakobi in this meeting?
No, I didn't see him.
Okay, because we know he had raised concerns about the choice of Matthew Opoku Prempeh.
I think that it is part of our, our democratic credentials as a party. Why do I say so? We have never had the selection process of any running mate without a controversy. Never, as a party. Our tradition. In 2008, even if I recall, the same thing happened. During Edubuahin's time, it happened. During our own President Kufuor's time, it happened. So, and during Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's time, it also happened. So, I am okay with that. But then at least the polls that came, you could see that, yes, overwhelmingly, the choice of Napo appeared to be on the hearts
resonated with the masses of the party.
Yes, many people, party people, right from the polling station, right up to the national level. So yes, even in one poll that came out, it was 70%. So the 30% clearly shows that it is not everybody who would go for him.
Now, I need to bring others into this conversation. I want you to hear their views. First and foremost, I'm starting with the NDC. And Felix Kwachofosu joins me now to share some thoughts on this matter. Felix, it ended being Napo. Many had expected him to win right from the beginning. In fact, some had raised concerns along the line. Harry Nanabuachi says it's a very normal thing for that to happen. Does he send shivers down the spine of you in the NDC?
Why would he send shivers down the spine of anybody? What is exceptional about Napo is the so many years that he has been a politician. In terms of electoral value, what has he presented beyond winning a parliamentary seat that even a bet, with the greatest respect to everybody, will win simply because he made that up. Beyond that, what has he done on a graph that suggests that he would bring much value to any, let alone bring some fear, as it were, within the ranks of the NDC. You see, the fact is that we in the NDC are indifferent about anything the MPP does. This is a party that is set to go into opposition. They have been trailing in this electoral process since it began. And they are well on their way to going into opposition. So it does not matter who they bring to the ticket, except that for purely analytical purposes, one must assess the reasoning behind this sort of selection. And that exercise is purely academic, really. Because I know that the NPP will never admit it. They may never offer an explanation. But if you look at the choice of Napo clearly, vis-a-vis those or others who were on offer, it is obvious that they are simply thinking about rallying their base. And if, as a ruling party, you are going into elections and you yourself admit implicitly that there is apathy amongst your own supporters, have they thought for a minute to think about what is happening outside of their supporters? So they want to make a choice in order to appease rabid members of the NPP. Beyond rabid members of the NPP, Napo does not appeal to anybody who is desirous of seeing good governance. You have a case where a ruling party has so badly mismanaged the affairs of their country. They have messed up our economy, essentially destroyed our economy. They have left us bankrupt as a country. We have defaulted on debts and plunged us into unprecedented hardships. The fact that everybody is crying across the length and breadth of this country. The last thing you need on the ticket of such a party is a hot-headed person who does not appeal to voters outside of the rabid circle of the MPP. And that is what they have done. You see, already they have a flag bearer who is going to this election with a massive deficit. They have a flag bearer who is perceived to double in lying, who is not believed when he speaks, who made noise about supposed economic prowess in the opposition, has come into government, become the head of the economic management team, and has been a complete failure and disaster. He has so badly mismanaged the economy so that today he is actually running away from the very thing that he claimed he had expertise on in opposition. So if he was going to pick a running mate, you would expect him to pick somebody who will complement him and ensure that the deficit that he has is bridged. But he has gone for somebody who appeals only to rabid sections of the NPP. In fact, you raise the issue about dissent within the NPP. Going into an election in which they are trailing, the last thing they need is disagreement on their front in terms of the choices they make about candidates. So you have a situation where Napo's own contemporaries in parliament, some of whom are from his own region, the Ashanti region, are taking against his nomination. So even in the Ashanti region, there's no unanimity and consensus about his viability as a running mate.
One, to be fair,
the former majority leader, Chairman Sabosu,
okay,
made subtle references to this when he said that the NPP does not need a hot-headed person, and it was because Napo's name had emerged. You spoke about the Asante Achim MP, Afi Akubi, who has publicly voiced his opposition. And there is an MP who comes from the Ashanti region, the very region that Napo comes from. And there's very good reason for why they are saying so, because there is a man who comes across as arrogant and disrespectful to the people of Ghana. You have him as energy minister. At a time when people are going through economic hardships, and this government's own incompetence has ensured that we cannot buy fuel to fire thermal plants, and so there's load shedding, people are sleeping in sweltering heat and darkness. He tells people who are legitimately demanding that the managers of the energy sector provide some guide by way of a timetable so that they can plan their lives, that they should go and prepare their own timetable. There is a man who is able to pitch himself against people of a particular region. There's flooding in Keta, so the people of Keta demand that government make some budgetary allocation to resolve the issue. He tells them that if that is done, he will demonstrate against it. So you are going to pick a flag bearer who says that as for him, some regions do not deserve to be attended to, and that it is only the Ashanti region that should be attended to. There is a man who is asked questions about the non-availability of basic facilities in senior high schools, like toilets. Then he tells the questioner that the children in those secondary schools should be grateful that they can defecate in polythene bags. So someone like this is not bringing any net value to the ticket beyond tickling the fancy and excitement of rabid NPP supporters. But the NPP itself knows that if the election was going to be engaged in by only NPP supporters, they don't have to show up for the contest because they will lose. Again, if the only reason,
I'll get you,
and I believe that is so,
yes,
and I believe that is so,
on that point,
if the only reason for appointing Napo is to excite people in the Ashanti region, what are they telling the remaining 15 regions of Ghana? That it is only the Ashanti region that matters. And you see, this notion that the NPP can win elections with just the Ashanti region is a myth. It has never happened in Ghana's history, and it will never happen. Even in 2008, when they tried desperately to do that, they failed. Since then, they have never been able to achieve that. To win the elections, they have to win or get significant votes from elsewhere, everywhere else where elections are held in this country.
I intend that.
And therefore, if your candidate is such that he can only get you votes from one region, what do you think the other regions will do to you? If in your
I get your point,
backyard,
Felix, and I suspect you have raised the issues that you really wanted to raise about Dr. Opoku Prempeh. I want to hear from Nana B respond to these issues one by the other.
If we are going by the yardstick set by Felix, that Napo passed certain comments, which even has been misconstrued, and I come by that, then it means their presidential candidate is super. Yes, I'm going to come on.
All three.
Their presidential candidate is super arrogant. Why? Ghanaians were complaining.
You mean John Dramani?
Yes. Ghanaians were complaining. He said that he had developed a dead goat syndrome, and that now he's even beyond criticisms. At the point, he even told us that if you have not been elected as a president before, you don't even have that audacity to even critique him. He said that in this country.
He lost an
in fact, no, I'm coming. No, at the point, he even said that, and I've mentioned it here, that smart businesses are not laying well focus. When they complained about the Dumso menace, he said it, that smart businesses are not laying well focus. At the point where when Dumso and then we were complaining, he even said that, look, be prepared to pay more if you want to enjoy stable electricity. we are here, you said that we're going to cancel ex gratia. And there was this lawyer, I think Martin Pebu, who said that, look, if you intend to cancel ex gratia, then why don't you return all the ex gratia that, he said that's a silly comment. That's a stupid comment. He was the one who even introduced the word.
Silly or stupid?
It was silly. Oh,
okay.
I mean, they are synonymous.
Now, what's a clarity on
They are synonymous. Yeah. So that's a silly comment. When you yourself, you have said that you cancel a particular policy, and then when you have said that bring back all the monies that you have collected as a result of this policy, you are rather insulting the person who made those assertions. Was it not the person who introduced baloney into our body politics? Was it not the same person who stood in Kumasi and said that Kumasi people, we are ungrateful. Even if we use gold to tar the entire road system in Kumasi, we will still be ungrateful. Was it not the same person? Was he not the same person? What is he talking about? Look,
the point is that he lost an election for it.
No, I'm coming. This Dunso timetable.
Yeah.
NDC people kept pushing. Look, we have slept in Dunso for 4 years. And then we had challenges for 3 months. And then they were still saying that there was a particular timetable that should come out. ECG said, no, we have not gotten there yet at all. There's no need for a timetable. In fact, VRA said it, ECG said it, Ministry of Energy, their PRO, their communication outfit said it. So it was NDC pushing for it. And in fact, he had even appeared before Parliament and said that there was no need for a timetable. So he was telling the likes of Felix Ofosu-Kwakye that if you still think that there was a timetable, because we have mentioned to you that we don't need any timetable at this present moment, then you fellas go and prepare your own timetable, because we have set the time with that number.
So it was not speaking to all Ghanaians?
To NDC people.
And it could have been construed. He used the word NDC people.
Yeah, NDC. Right. So the fact of the matter is that you are even proud of a certain incompetent president who made sure that we slept in darkness for 4 years. And you are even bringing him back. Somebody who even insulted Ghanaians throughout his tenure. You are even bringing him back. And he was even talking about the economy. He's not even ashamed of himself. It was President Mahama who put us into the worst ever. In fact, we did not even have Russia-Ukraine war. We did not even have COVID-19. It was President Mahama who even gave us 2% economic growth. If at the time, agri even grew negative. Service sector, industry, all of them, if we did not have Russia-Ukraine war, we did not have...
Except that 2020, we had 0.4.
Do you recall?
Lower than 2% or 2.8%.
Do you recall that...
0.4, yeah.
Do you recall? No, I'm talking about without COVID,
okay.
Without Russia-Ukraine war.
Okay, yeah.
Do you recall that even when the nurses, the trainee nurses, the teacher training, they were talking about, you know what, please, former President Obama said, you know what, I'm still going to cancel it. And even if it will cost me. He never gave, he never disrespected, he never respected, he disrespected Ghanaians. And even that, you are even proud of this person, and you want to bring him back. And you are even saying that he's appealing to Ghanaians. Somebody who lost an election, he lost with a margin, it's never happened before. In fact, he suffered the greatest defeat ever. Ever, the greatest defeat ever, by a sitting president, by a margin of 1 million. Even that person, you even have that joy to bring him back. Look, their own vice presidential candidate, the comments they passed about her. She's not fit for purpose. Julius Deborah is better. She cannot even campaign. She's not even appealing to anybody.
So who passed these comments? I'm not sure.
Then these people went at the time.
Felix, right?
Oh, no Felix, no
okay.
Felix. Oh, to be fair, no Felix. No, I'm talking about the NDC apparatchiks. Those times when they were competing, when I know Julius Deborah wanted it, the people for Julius, that was what we were saying. They have even said it. In fact, even after they lost the elections, they themselves never wanted to present Jill again because they felt that he never brought anything to the table. They themselves said it.
But was Napo chosen because of the Ashanti region?
Napo was chosen because of, number one, his competence. Number two, his hard work. He is very bold. He is confident. And sometimes when people, and I keep saying this, he is the best education minister ever.
Really?
Best.
But what's
I have
criteria?
Look, free SHSA, at a point when Nana, it was very heated. It was a debatable issue. NDC said that it cannot be possible. It can be possible after 20 years. And then they introduced a symbolic, progressively free SHS or something like that. Even that, from 2014 to 2016, when they even started, they never paid a dime. In their own handing over notes, they never paid a dime 2014-20, we had to come and pay close to about 15 million Ghana cedis.
For what?
For free SHS. Yes, what they said they implemented. Subsidies to needy schools they were not paying from 2014-2016. They were not paying. Capitation grant they were not paying. Look, Dr. Opoku Prempeh assembled the team. His Excellency the President said, I've tasked you with this. Champion it, implement it. 3 years now. Yes, I admit that there are challenges. I admit, but 3 years is churning out some brilliant students. In recent past, they have produced the best results. Recently, they had a ceremony in Liberia. Ghanaian students, our young chaps, your nephew, your nieces, they swept all their awards. Recently, the robotics team, very competitive at the global stage. These are products of free SHS. Product of free SHS. They are doing amazingly well on the global stage, where they competed with a host of schools, about 60 schools or so, from different countries, and they won this competition. These are products of free SHS. And the results are there for everybody to see. No wonder any chance, any given platform, the former president will get because of the image. Recently, somebody said that, look, I think that we need to print these itemized bills to parents so that we know how much government is absorbing. Recently, when his name was mentioned, a lot of people who worked with him, union leaders, UTAC, GRASAC, student leaders, they were talking about his competence. One person
said, Matthew Opoku.
Yes. One person even said that he can even manage a Sahara Desert. One person even said it. You cannot take that away from him.
So head to head.
The only thing they can say, and that is what they are saying. If that is so, that is what I'm saying, that the Mahama is super arrogant. If they want us to itemize, to list, to outline the many comments former President Mahama made when he was even a president.
Except that many would have expected head-to-head to be between Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh and Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman.
No, I get it. But that's what I'm trying to say, that if he wants to pick on certain comment, and then he wants to say that because of that, people, or he himself, he see him as arrogant. Look, he is confident. He is assertive. He is bold. Many times people misconstrue that. And again, he was talking about the fact that the only elections he stood for and then he won is because of Menchia South, and Menchia South, anybody you put there, Professor Nana, has she ever won any elections? Has she ever on her own contested for even assembly seat, has she ever done so? She doesn't have even a constituency. She doesn't have the base.
Is that what?
She doesn't resonate.
The question he was saying was that, in fact, his main point is that beyond the Ashanti region,
good,
it will be even beyond the NPP members in the Ashanti region, it will be difficult to sell Napo to any other person.
He's already sold. Do you know the many homes his leadership has blessed? Do you know the many homes?
Still on free SHS?
Yes.
Okay.
The many homes. And even on doing so, look, I am happy and also not happy it happened. Why? Because when it happened for close to about 3 months, 3 to 4 months, I think we started having this challenge somewhere in February, March, April, May. Now I can say that it's relatively stable. Look, we were all complaining. I was on platforms telling those managing the sector to be up and doing. Another aspect is that now it gave the Ghanaian that clear picture that, hey, we have been in this for 2 to 3 months or 3 to 4 months, and all of us are complaining. But there is a certain man who wants to come back again as a president. He superintended over Dumso for 4 years. We slept in Dumso for 4 years. We did our business 4 years. Those times, when I used to come here, you have some drums, you have some plant. You come here every day, is working. You buy in drums, fuel. So people now did the construct. Okay, now we have a government, even for 3 to 4 months, we are complaining. How much more somebody? And this same person is coming back again. And this same person was the leader. And this same person superintended over the worst erratic power supply, the worst, they do so for 4 years.
Felix, the response of Nana B is what you just heard. And he also thinks that head-to-head, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh is way better than Prof. Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman.
the MPP believes they are speaking to children. And I've listened to him and I'm laughing. How can any serious-minded person look Ghanaians in the face and tell them that this horrible economy is anything to be compared to the economy they inherited in 2016? And Raymond, I'm surprised that you even sat down and allowed you to go on that tangent. Raymond, for all the years that you followed Ghanaian politics and economic management, has any government defaulted on the repayment of debt? Is that not the height of economic disaster? For all the years that you followed economic management in this country, has any government taken bond proceeds of over 1.3 million bondholders? For all the years that you followed economic management in this country, have you seen pensioners picketing at the finance ministry to demand payment for their bonds? For all the years that you followed economic management, have you seen our debt to GDP ratio go above 104% like it did under Baumia? For all the years that you followed economic management, have you witnessed a situation where we have been downgraded to junk, rubbish, baller economy? Has that ever happened for all the years that you followed this economy? So why did you sit down for him to say the things he was saying, which you knew were for?
Well, I had a comparison based on Dr. Martin Pepper's
Raymond, how do you sit down for anybody to tell you that this economy can even be compared to what the MPP inherited? The growth rate he speaks about, did they not achieve 0.4, which is the worst in our history? 0.4%. How can somebody who achieves 0.4% come and compare himself to someone who achieves 2%? And for the record, Agric never grew negative under the NDC. It is a lie. It was under President Kufuor in 2007 that Agric grew by negative 1.7. Under the NDC, it never happened. It is a lie. So MPP executives must stop lying to defend their bankrupt, utterly useless management of this country. Again, he speaks about Napo's management of the energy sector. Look, I have an 11-year-old son. If that 11-year-old boy inherited what we left Napo at the energy ministry, we will not sleep in darkness for 1 second. It is a mark of his utter incompetence that we even slept in darkness for 3 months. This is a government, and ask Nanabi, since they've been in power, what have they added to the national grid? Did Napo not promptly go and move Ameri from Abuaze and take it to Kumasi? Was it Napo who brought in Ameri to this country? What did Napo add in terms of generation capacity? In addition to that, we left them a gas processing plant producing 120 million standard cubic feet of gas a day, I beg your pardon, to power thermal plants. In addition to this, we left them ESLA, which by now has accrued over 25 billion Ghana cedis. After all of this, they still owe $2 billion debt. That is what Napo has incurred. And that is what has ensured that they are unable to buy fuel. And so we slept in darkness. So my 11-year-old son, Adepa, if he inherited what Napo inherited, we will not sleep in darkness for 1 minute. And to the extent that Napo has supervised this rot and debt-ridden energy sector, he is utterly incompetent. Now let's come to education. Sometimes they think they are speaking to children. Under Napo, for 6 terms, they could not print textbooks for business school people. They never happened in Napo. Opoku Prempeh. When she became an education minister, at the time she started, in 2013, 4 Ghanaian school children used to share 1 textbook. By the time she left, each child had 4 textbooks. She had flipped it. Under her tenure, work was started on 123 brand new senior high schools. 50 of them were completed before she left office. How many has Napo built? Under Napo, and JoyFM, you are leading that crusade. You found that over 1 million Ghanaian school children do not have desks. They lie on their stomachs to receive tuition. Under Napo, for 6 terms, capitation grant was not paid. In fact, he told senior high school students to defecate in polythene bags as a solution to the lack of toilets in schools. I have 5 senior high schools in my constituency in AEK. Come and see the penury and squalor in which they live. You have a situation where even feeding of school children is a major problem. The food they eat will not be accepted by the dogs in Napo's house. So, what achievement is he talking about? This horrendous government that they've inflicted on us. And let me speak about his arrogance. He says confidence. You see, again, Raymond, that's why sometimes I have to criticize you in the media a bit. When he says NDC people were demanding a timetable, what does he mean? Why, we NDC people, do we come from Afghanistan? Or the taxes we pay, they go to Cote d'Ivoire? How dare Napo tell us that because we are NDC, we should go and do our own timetable? When he was in opposition and he was lamenting Dumso, did he go to Afghanistan to demand accountability? So what does he mean by we are NDC? So he was, and indeed, he was not telling NDC. He was telling everybody else, including you, Raymond, I believe, because I heard you on your Super Money show demanding timetables as well. He told you that you should go and print your own timetable. And he is telling us that that is confidence. When somebody tells you to go and print your own timetable, it is downright disrespect. It signals emotional unintelligence, a lack of judgment. This is a person who does not have sound judgment. When you told the people of Keta that they do not deserve for their flooding situation to be controlled and that he would demonstrate against them, he was not displaying confidence. He was displaying emotional unintelligence and downright arrogance and disrespect. How can you tell people who are being flooded, who are losing their houses, who are losing their life, that if government makes, even if it was not budgeted for, nothing stops us from making emergency arrangements to attend to their needs? You have somebody who wants to be vice president today telling them that if allocation is made to resolve that problem, he will demonstrate. So the people of Keta should die. They should be carried away by the sea. And you are telling me that this is confidence. This is downright disrespect. In any serious society, he will not dare come near the vice presidency. But like I said, his only utility for Bawumia is that he wants him to rally the base because he appeals only to the NPP base. You tell me which level-headed, sane, objective, voter who is not aligned to these two parties will go and vote for, will look at Professor Nano Opoku and go and vote for Napo. This ability to talk in a manner that is insulting to the very people he is supposed to serve. And when we complain, say we are NDC, we pay our taxes to the government of Afghanistan. So when there's doomsday and we demand a timetable, we should be told that. So in this country, when I get up tomorrow, I should go and pay my tax to the government of Cote d'Ivoire. So that when I demand services, I'm told that I'm NDC. Why? When the NDC comes to power, will all every people relocate to Togo? Such that the NDC will not be accountable to them. So even that talk epitomizes the disrespect and arrogance that Napo carries. You see, what they are going to do in this campaign is that they are going to sit on tenterhooks and pray that when a microphone is shoved in front of Napo, he does not say anything that causes further damage to their campaign. That is all that they are going to do. Already, you have a candidate who has been utterly useless in the management of the economy. This is a man who ran around the country doing lectures, telling everybody that he was a self-styled economic messiah.
I guess
he becomes the head of the government.
The main issues, Felix.
Today, let me land. Today, he cannot mention the exchange rate. He is afraid. Suddenly, he has become a Yahoo boy and cannot talk about the economy because people are suffering. Look, in about 2 months ago, the World Bank published a report which showed that up to 8 million Ghanaians have said that they have gone a day without food in the last recent months because of economic hardships. Look at the cost of living crisis that we are facing. And if you want somebody to resolve it, is it a hot-headed person who at the slightest instance will insult people demanding accountability from him? So please, we in the NDC could not be bothered who they bring. The fact is that all objective indications show that they will be booted out for the horrible governance that they've offered. And that they cannot come here and pretend like they are speaking to children, say things that are not true, do not make sense, in order to get away. You think that after all the investments that we've made in the energy sector, it is allowed for us to sleep in darkness for even 1 month? My son Adepa, if he inherited what we left the NPP, Felix, he will not sleep in darkness for 1 minute.
Forgive me, but this is a point you have actually made. I need to bring in Professor Ali Desaidu.
No, I am in the studio.
Yes, just briefly, yes, before I bring it, Prof.
He makes a point that because they don't pay their taxes to, he mentioned a country, whatever.
A different country, yeah.
Okay, good. So if that is the case, Then when former President Obama said that he has developed a dead goose syndrome and then he's not even bothered by anything, were we paying our taxes to Azerbaijan? Is he serious? Former president. He talks anyhow. He insults anyhow. In fact, he has exhibited, the former president, he has exhibited monumental arrogance to the people of Ghana. And that is how come he suffered that shameful defeat. If he has any advice, he should rather go and fight former President Mahama. He is the one their own party people are looking for, and then they are not seeing him.
Except
look,
in all fairness, Dr. Opoku Prempeh is running mate level.
No, you know why
I say so? I expect that comparison.
No, you know why I say so? I say so because he is even going to be on the ballot. If you are criticizing somebody who is not even going to be on the ballot, right? If you have a certain measuring rod for that person, and then even the person who is even going to be the ballot, the person you are even praising, that person is even worse off. What are you talking about? We as I said, we can list a whole lot of shameful comments.
The very things he's saying, it appears
no.
I'm coming. True, no, but somebody has said worse things.
No, I've already explained. I've told you, but then he will not. Obviously, will not agree with me. Look, feeding grant was not paid from 2014 to 2016 under Professor Nana Jean. In fact, she was the same person who advised the cancellation of teacher training allowance. Feeding grant to special schools, deaf and dumb, were not paid from 2014 to 2016. Senior high school subsidy, not paid from 2014 to 2016. Funds for their so-called progressively free, it was that time around 50 million or so.
Where is this data coming from?
Their own handing over notes. When they were handing over, these were some of the things they said. Capitation grant, it was not even paid. He says that Napo did not pay capitation grant. In fact, it is not even true. Napo actually increased capitation grant amount from 125%, from 4.5 per person to 10 cedis per student. That is a record of Napo.
What I heard was that for basic schools, they didn't.
This is basic schools. No.
Not on capitation grant. They didn't.
No, he mentioned capitation. He said that Napo defaulted. He said he defaulted for about 6 months or so. That is why I'm saying that it is not true. This is an achievement, basic education. Napo increased capitation grant amount by 122%.
And this
from
is
4.5
by the
Ministry of Education.
Okay, well.
It is there, right? He introduced a new standard-based curriculum for KG pieces focusing on reading, writing, arithmetic. Look, I have a whole achievement.
But is it true that they didn't have textbooks at the time?
It's not true.
These ones were true.
It's not true.
Really?
These are concocted lies.
No, but this thing was so popular at the time.
No, it was not popular. That's why I'm saying that, in fact, if there's anybody who had even championed the printing of more textbooks, it was Napo. I'm telling you. In fact.
But we had this, what do they call it? The current minister.
No, at the point there was a challenge, and then they rectified and even printed.
But we knew that.
But even fellas who is talking, even chalk, they could not even provide chalk, simple chalk.
How?
The former first lady went to Eastern Region. He was asked, he said, I will not give you chalk today, I will not give you chalk tomorrow. This is shameful. Even chalk, you could not even provide chalk.
But that's not an admission that you can't provide chalk.
No, but that is what I'm trying to say. That
first lady says to a school.
No, they complained that they don't have chalks. In fact, it was a request from the school to the second lady that we don't have chalk and we even use our own money to buy chalk.
But this is a school isolated incident.
No,
would you say that the entire nation did not have chalk?
You know what? The woman spoke for even Eastern Region. He said that we don't have chalk.
Was she the regional director?
Yes, and it was a reflection of the entire
across the country.
Even that you are even proud of. Even that symbolic achievement, you, Felix, you are even proud of.
I need to bring in Prof. Briefly. I want to hear somebody else in this conversation. And forgive me, but I kept you on for a while. Professor Ali Disedu is the head of the Political Science Department at the University of Ghana, Political Science Department. Prof, of course, we would expect the various parties to see to prop up, bring out, and extol the virtues of their candidates and running mates going into this election. Of the things you have heard about Matthew Opoku Prempeh, the positives and the things that are being outlined as also negatives about him, do you truly think that this was the best choice of the available people that were elected prior to he becoming? They have mentioned the education minister, a former majority leader, and many others that have been signaled as people who could equally be in this position for a political party going into the next election after being in office for 8 years.
Thank you, Raymond, and good evening to your viewers. Yeah, I think Napo brings a lot to the ticket of the NPP, positive and negative. So I'll look at it from theoretical, but also practical perspective. So if you look at it theoretically, Andrew Haywood identified 4 different categories of why people vote. There are a lot of them, but just 4 for the sake of this. One of them is what we call the sociological model of voter behavior. So the sociological model, among other things, measures 2 important variables. It looks at the identity, then it looks at character or attitude. If you pick the identity, he mentions that people may vote simply because of the identity of the candidate that is contesting for an election. If you look at Napo within the remit of the sociological voter behavior, which is one of the dominant voter behavior models we have in this country, he balances the ticket with the idea of region, that the the flag bearer is from the northeast region, and then he comes from the Ashanti region. So and a lot of people look at those kind of permutations. 2, in terms of identity and the sociological model, he balanced the ticket in terms of religion. The flag bearer of the NPP is a well-known practicing Muslim, and he is a Christian, well-known practicing Christian. So he flips that kind of religious disadvantage of the Bawumia ticket, and then he brings a kind of advantage to it. In terms of religion, ethnicity, in terms of ethnicity, Mampusi, and then Ashanti, and then in terms of regional politics, people who practice regional politics, I'm largely from the north, vote for me. He's from the south. So he balanced the ticket in that kind of sociological model of identity. And that has been the tradition in this country. If you look at the 2 dominant political parties, they always balance the ticket based on this because it's very critical. I'll come and look at the attitude later. But in terms of the dominant party model, which is also one of the basic reasons that inform why people vote in Ghana, people vote for political party as long as they believe and trust in that particular party. And the Ashanti region is the bastion of support for the NPP. And picking Napo from the heartbeat of the party support is actually going to energize the base, is going to get a lot of people out to support him, and that is a huge advantage to the NPP. Now back to 2 other models. The second one, or the third one is what we call the rational choice model.
Okay.
When you do the rational choice, definitely people will vote for a candidate based on his experience, his track record, his philosophy, his educational qualification, his attitude, his temperament, and all those things. Now, if you look at that, how does Napo balance the ticket in terms of what? Temperament. People think that the current flag bearer of the NPP is a very humble, respectful, down-to-earth person. Compared to Napo, people think Napo is very hot-tempered. He is arrogant. It's a perception. I'm not saying that's how he is, because people who are also very close to him thinks he's very affable, he's very down-to-earth, he's very friendly. But you see, in politics, what people propagate out there, perceptions usually have an impact in the way people vote. So even if it's perception, it has now become what? A national debate issue that people make reference to. And it has stuck within the qualities of Napo moving forward. The potential vice president is just a heartbeat away from the presidency. And his ability to co-work, coexist, and accept, and also even humble himself before the president is very critical in every governance process. We saw what happened between John Rawlings and Accra, and in other countries where the vice president openly fought with the president. So is this something that they can manage, right? If the ticket is able to win. But 2, you're also looking at experience. He's just a heartbeat away from the presidency. If His Excellency Mahamudu Bawumia travels, he's going to act as the president. Does he have the experience to be able to lead Ghana? That's one. And do Ghanaians have the confidence to be able to accept his legitimacy when he's governor? What has been his relationship with Ghanaians before his eventual nomination as a running mate, and even before he's elected as the flag bearer? He's elected as what? the vice
running
president.
mate, yes, okay, yeah.
Yes, if the ticket wins. So people definitely focus at that particular level of experience. I think he has been a member of parliament since 2008. He has been a minister for education and the minister for energy.
For energy, yeah.
And I also agree to the fact that his experience of electoral contests have always been his constituency, which is a stronghold of the NPP. So it stands to reason that you don't need to put so much effort. I think in the NPP election in Ashanti region, parliamentary, it's just a contest. The primaries is even more competitive than the main elections. So it's just winning the primaries and then you are there. So what level of experience does he have campaigning around the country? Even the same experience of national level election coordination extends to even the flag bearer. Because if you look at John Dramani Mahama, he has campaigned in 2012, 2016, 2020. He won one, he lost twice. So he has a little bit of experience and he knows how he's going. I agree that campaign is a team event, it's a party event. But at least the arrowhead is the person whose face is on the ticket. And his experience in campaigning and knowing what to do and know what to do at a particular time is very significant. So I think largely the issue of perception of arrogance is very critical in our elections, no matter all the other qualities that you have. And you remember then His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, that was one of the things Ghanaians used against him largely. In 2008, it cost him. In 2012, it cost him. They were able to repose the trust on him when his campaign managers begin to work on him and make him bring his level to the down of the so-called ordinary people. But
Can it be dealt with? Can it be dealt with? We have 6 months into an election.
That is the point I'm trying to make.
Okay,
that
sure.
if no matter the popularity of Nana within the ranks of the party, but even his advocacy and adventurism in national politics, that tag still cost him, right? 2 elections before Ghanaians now begin to see that, oh, now he drinks Kalipo just like the ordinary person, he boils Tuo just like the ordinary person, and all those things that were rolled out to make him look so ordinary to the ordinary Ghanaian. But it has already cost him 2 elections. I'm looking at just 6 months to elections. Yes, you can convince the NPP people or NPP supporters that this is not how he is. There are a few people who have worked closely with Napo and they know that these are just perceptions. Napo is not like that. But we, the large people outside NPP or even people within NPP who hasn't had the chance to fraternize with him, how long will it take them to change their perception? And I think people have been referring to the Doomsday timetable thing. A lot of Ghanaians were angered by it because it has affected their work, it has affected their personal lives. And I think as a minister of state who is accountable to the people and paid by a taxpayer, his response could have been different. And people will use it. So we are in an era of records that whatever you say is either on YouTube, it's either TikTok, it's somewhere, or it can be played back in a way. So definitely, I think in terms of character, in terms of demeanor, in terms of experience and all those other things, yes, there will be things people will use against him. But I also think that the challenge of the NPP will be selling Napo beyond the NPP support base, right? I agree, maybe the National Security Post sample, not all NPP people, but maybe top officials of the NPP. And he came up. If we're going to sample all the card-bearing members of the NPP, would it have been the same? But even there was another thing I read in the internet that says that the results was even flipped. It was rather Canada, Japan, who actually scored that high. I'm not sure how true it is. And I can't vouch for it, but I read it on the internet, right? But even if that's the case, if that is the case, then it means that they have more uphill task to convince Ghanaians, especially those with this kind of arrogant perception, to come on board. But last but not the least, cracks in the party.
Okay.
So the NPP had 10 candidates when they were going for the flag bearership. They screened superdelegates to 5. And then after that, Alan resigned, another person resigned, citing unfairness in the processes. But it even took, notwithstanding the performance that Canada Japan put up in the primaries, it took him several months before the party were able to convince him to join the campaign for whatever reasons. Now, a lot of people from Ashanti region were clamoring for this particular coveted spot that Bawumia got. Elections, the outcome of election are usually in game metaphor. You either win or you lose. No matter what, these people will come together and say, oh, we endorse him, we like him, as for elections like that, we support him. Deep down their heart, there will still be that element of envy. How will it manifest? Will they secretly campaign against him? Would they be apathy? Would they be apathy? And those people who are clamoring for that particular candidate, there were a lot of people. Even recently, colleagues from my university came out and even issued a press statement that candidate Japan is the best bet. There have been demonstrations recently that.
Well, I seem to have lost Professor Saidu Muhammad Ali, who he heads the political science department at the University of Ghana. At a point that I almost intervened and said, Prof, we should come back to you later, but I'm coming in studio. This matter is always coming in. It appears the issue of whether he's perceived to be arrogant, and Prof mentioned it, it has something that ought to be confronted. He said it affected even the earlier fortunes of President Akufo-Addo. But of course, we know what happened subsequently. Is he being confronted, or is just being dismissed as complete propaganda?
Oh, no, that is what I think. What I think is that, look, and I've just mentioned it, that I've worked closely with him. For me, I see a lot of confidence in him. I see somebody who is committed, dedicated to his work. I see that he has that energy in him to always turn things around. And that is what I know him for. And that is why, as I said, people who have worked with him, and then even Professor Ali mentioned that he's even spoken to some people who have worked closely with him. Yes, as a political party, the ticket must be sold to Ghanaians. Yes. And that is what we are going to do.
Okay.
That ticket must be sold to Ghanaians.
You won't have difficulty doing so.
Oh, whatever you do,
yeah.
If you have challenges, what is important is that you have the edge, you have the commitment to execute that. And that is the most important thing. Now we have a perfect pair. What is the mandate of the campaign team? The mandate of the campaign team is to make sure that the ticket you have, you sell it and you sell it well. Take it to every doorstep, every corner, every market, every hamlet. Move around. Let people know what you want them to buy. And that is the most important thing. Right? So for us, Prof. Alidu's, for me, comment is an advice. Okay. Yes, now you have a ticket. The ticket, he sees that maybe, okay, maybe there could be a certain challenge. That challenge is that market the person. And that is exactly what the national campaign team is tasked to do. And I'm happy. And as I said, the presidential candidate, Alhaj Muhammadu Bawumia, he is the most experienced running mate in Ghana as we speak. And I keep saying
yes.
So he knows what
he wants in a running mate.
Exactly.
And Napo was not imposed on him.
No, not at all.
It was his own choice.
Not at all. I mean, that is how come he came back to council and then said that he wanted some time to further do some consultation, some analysis, run around, dive much more deeper, so that he can just come up with it. So nobody, it can never be said.
I'm wrapping up this conversation, but there's a question about focus areas. We know John Mahama mentioned the areas that Prof is likely to focus on. Have we determined where Napo will be focusing?
The message of His Excellency Al-Hajj, Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia, is the message of Napo. That is it.
The same vision.
It is one message. So we are going to crisscross the country. Okay. We are going to move around. So it is the same message, consistency. The message we have is what we are going to trumpet.
Can he campaign in Keta?
Oh, you see, yes, I was even about to address that. Sorry, I think because of that. Why can't he? Look, why is the NDC trying to misconstrue what happened? Look, at the time, we had fire outbreak. We had fire, sorry?
Very short time.
Yes, we had fire outbreak in Kumasi. What Napo said was that there are a lot of disasters all over Ghana. The moment, because this particular thing was being championed by MPs from Volta region, the moment you are seeing that you are championing a certain budgetary allocation for it, then the people in Ashanti region will also come and say that we also need budgetary allocation. In Upper West, they will say so. In Upper East, they will say so. So rather, he would prefer that let us support them.
Okay.
That is it. So what he was saying is that if he has to also let Ashanti region people demand that there should be a budgetary allocation for them in the budget, then he will do so. He never said that he would not support any intervention that should go to Kita. No. He rather said that it should be widespread. The national cake is for the nation. So it should be shared appropriately and accordingly.
Is
that is it.
National organizer of the governing NPP. Many thanks to you, Nanabi.
Thank you very much.
And many thanks to you for also joining today's edition of UPFront. Thank you, Felix, and thank you, Professor Alidu Seidu, for also joining this conversation.